Do you know if there is an interesting island in Indonesia? An island that is famous for its flora and fauna, because it cannot be found anywhere else in the world. It is located right in the middle of Indonesia. The island is called Sulawesi. It is the 11th largest island in the world, with towering mountains and dense tropical forests. But uniquely, its forests are full of rare creatures. These are called endemic animals, or animals that can only be found in a certain place. When the sun goes down and night approaches, this is the perfect time for these creatures to come out and face the world. They are small, only about 13 centimeters, but they are amazing jumpers. The length of its legs is twice the length of its body. This allows them to jump from tree to tree up to 3 meters away. They are called tarsiers, one of the smallest primates in the world. Because they are primates, they are actually related to monkeys and collars. But because they look like rats, people sometimes call them squatting rats. Tarsiers are endemic to Sulawesi, although it can be found in the Philippines, Malaysia, and Brunei. But the species there are different. Tarsiers are divided into 3 genus groups: the Carlito genus that lives in the Philippines, the Cephalopithecus genus in Borneo, and the Tarsius genus that can only be found in Sulawesi. Tarsiers in Sulawesi are also known as tertiary spectrals and are divided into 12 species. They have small bodies, long tails, and large eyes. But interestingly, despite their small size, these creatures are carnivorous. They are great predators. With super sharp teeth, Tarsiers will prey on insects, bats, small birds, and even snakes. In addition to their super long legs, Tarsiers also have unique fingers. Its fingers are full of pads, which it can use to catch prey or to hold onto trees tightly. This creature is an accomplished climber. It can even climb trees within hours of birth. Tarsiers also have unique eyes, which are large, much bigger than its brain, even bigger than its stomach. So big, in fact, that he can't move his eyes. To look sideways, Tarsiers have to twist their neck. Because of this, they have a unique ability. Tarsiers can rotate their head up to 180 degrees, like an owl. They use this ability when hunting. They will stay on a tree, observing their surroundings by turning their head. And when the target is determined, the tarsier will jump, catch it with its long fingers, and bite it to death. But its eyes are not only big, they are also sharp. Especially at night, they can observe their surroundings clearly. This makes these cute predators prefer to come out when it gets dark. Then in the darkness, tarsiers will make unique noises, sounds that can sound creepy. But this is their way of calling to each other. And before morning comes, the tarsiers will disappear, back to their nests, making them mysterious creatures. So mysterious, in fact, that they've been dubbed the ghost monkeys of Sulawesi. Tarsiers are perhaps one of Sulawesi's most fascinating animals. There is so much research trying to figure out how these creatures live. Unfortunately, being unique is not always beneficial. Tarsiers are often hunted, captured, and kept as pets. What many people don't know is that tarsiers are very sensitive to their surroundings. They hate noise, light, and even humans. Tarsiers that live in cages are easily stressed. When stressed, they can smash their small heads against trees, floors, or walls. Many tarsiers that are kept as pets end up dying in vain. Therefore, the best captivity for them is their own habitat. Tarsiers play an important role in nature, as their main food is insects. Tarsiers can control the number of insects around them and prevent them from overgrowing. But the most interesting thing about this creature is that tarsiers are loyal animals. They only have one mate for life, and when their partner dies, they don't look for another one and decide to spend the rest of their lives alone. But these aren't Sulawesi's only interesting animals, because almost 50% of the vertebrates that live on the island can't be found anywhere else. In fact, non-volant mammals, or mammals that live on land but can't fly, are almost 90% endemic. This means they can't be found anywhere else in the world except Sulawesi. In 2017, there was an interesting study in Sulawesi. It was in a cave called Layang Tedonge in South Sulawesi. On the wall of this cave, a painting depicting a pig was found. But did you know? This is the oldest cave painting in the world that depicts an animal. It is estimated to be 45,000 years old, much older than the El Castillo cave paintings in Spain, or the Chauvet cave in France. Unfortunately, it is not certain which species the pig in this picture belongs to. But there is a funny coincidence, because Sulawesi is home to the coolest pig in the world. The Babirusa is dubbed the world's most unique pig. They belong to the family Suidae, or pigs. Because of this, Rusa pigs are closer to pigs than to deer. But why the name plus deer? Of course, it has something to do with the unique horns on their heads. Surprisingly, the horns on their heads are not made of bone, like those on deer antlers, nor are they made of keratin, like that of a rhino horn. But these are super long canines. Unlike other animals, their canines grow upwards. These teeth can grow up to 30 centimeters. Little by little, they penetrate the palate, until one day it can penetrate the head and injure its own brain. These fangs only grow on male pig deer, while the females look normal. Unfortunately, no one can confirm what this fang is used for. There are theories that say this is used to open the road when in the forest. There are also those who say that these fangs are to protect their heads when fighting each other. But if they fight too often, these fangs can actually pierce their heads and hurt themselves. It's as if they were given fangs to keep them from fighting each other. When compared to the average pig, the deer pig has a smaller head, longer legs, and an almost hairless body. They can be more than 1 meter long and weigh up to 100 kilograms. They are mammals that nurse their young. Therefore, although they prefer to live alone in the forest, they can sometimes form small groups. Female pig deer can give birth to 1 to 2 cubs. The young will be breastfed for 1 month until they are able to find their own food. After 10 months, they reach the adult stage and can live up to 24 years. Despite their fearsome appearance, deer pigs are omnivores. They eat leaves, fruits, roots, including small animals such as caterpillars and larvae. Its favorite foods include rau fruit and pangi, a famous fruit in Sulawesi. They have very strong jaws. They can crack hard fruits or nuts with ease. But unlike other pigs that like to dig the ground for tubers, they prefer to find their food on the ground, especially on soft, muddy soil. But you know, these creatures have an important role to play in nature, because the seeds of the fruits they eat will be released again through feces. The seeds will grow and turn into new trees, making their forests sustainable. Deer pigs also have a habit of living in mud. One important thing about animals that like to live in mud, such as rhinos and buffaloes, is that they actually play an important role in the surrounding ecosystem. Because the soil on which mud is deposited is often alluvial soil that contains high nutrients. Without realizing it, these animals will fertilize the surrounding soil as the mud on their bodies is carried away to other places. There used to be 4 species of pig deer in the wild. They were spread from Sulawesi, Togian Island, to Buru Island. But there are now only 3 left, after the Babirusa bolobatuensis subspecies in South Sulawesi province was declared extinct. The remaining 3 subspecies are listed in Appendix 1, which means they are in critical condition. There is no specific data on the number of pig deer in the wild, but it is estimated to be less than 5,000. Unfortunately, their numbers are declining. However, they are still hunted for consumption. Sometimes they are also killed for destroying farmland. Meanwhile, the forests where they live continue to narrow due to land clearing and mining. Even their status as protected animals has barely saved these creatures. Do you know? There are only 5 species of buffalo in the world: African buffalo, Asian water buffalo, Tamaraw buffalo from the Philippines, and 2 more species. These 2 unique buffalo species only live in Indonesia. They are named Anoa. The lowland Anoa and the highland Anoa, 2 types of buffalo that can only be found in Sulawesi. One thing that makes them interesting is their size. The lowland Anoa weighs around 200 kilograms, while the highland Anoa weighs less than 150 kilograms. Compare this to other types of buffalo. For example, African water buffaloes can weigh up to 1,000 kilograms, or the Asian water buffalo, which can weigh up to 1,200 kilograms. Because of this, the Anoa has been dubbed the smallest buffalo in the world. Anoa belong to the Bovidae family, or buffalo family. This group consists of herbivorous mammals characterized by horns found on both male and female animals, just like the Anoa, which will have horns when it grows up. Because of this, these creatures are sometimes referred to as jungle cattle. But, despite its similar appearance to cows, this animal is very difficult to farm. They are much more aggressive than domestic cattle or buffalo. Anoa are shy animals by nature. They prefer to live alone deep in the forest, but if they feel threatened, they can also attack and fight back with their horns. Sometimes, though, they prefer to save themselves by throwing themselves into swamps. Anoa are basically solitary animals, preferring to spend their time alone. Sometimes, however, they form small groups. There are male Anoa, females, and their young. Anoa can live up to 25 years and can reproduce as early as 2 to 3 years old. However, they usually only give birth to 1 offspring. That's why the population growth of this animal is slow. Anoa avoid humans, especially since they are often hunted. Aside from their edible meat, their skin can also be used for crafts, and their horns can be made into various tools, making them often sought after for killing, and one of the animals closest to extinction in Sulawesi. But there is one important thing about the Anoa. Despite being the smallest buffalo in the world, in Sulawesi they are the largest mammal and have a very large home range. One thing about large mammals, such as elephants, rhinos, and giraffes, is that they actually play an important role in the surrounding ecosystem. As they walk, these creatures will step on fallen seeds and push them into the soil, where they can grow into new trees. Also, due to their large size, plant seeds will stick to their bodies and be carried elsewhere. Anoa also eat more than 146 plant species, including dozens of fruit species found in the forest. Because of this, they can control the population of shrubs as well as disperse seeds from the fruits they eat. They do all these things wherever they go. And that is the reason why the Anoa is known as an umbrella species, a species that helps balance nature over a very large area. If you move away from the depths of the jungle, you head towards the warm, sandy beaches. Here lives one of the most exotic birds, the Maleo. This bird belongs to the Megapodidae family, a group of birds with large legs but small heads. Most birds in this family usually cannot fly. But Maleo is different. They can fly and have big wings. But strangely, this bird prefers to walk, spending its time on the ground. They rarely use their wings. The reason is because their food is often under the ground, such as ants, beetles, and seeds. So, it is much easier to comb the ground with its feet. Not all Sulawesi forests can be found Maleo, only in certain areas, such as Gorontalo and South Sulawesi. This bird is famous for its unique reproduction method. They do not incubate their eggs, but bury them in the sand. Usually in warm sands, such as in coastal areas or close to geothermal sources, the eggs will hatch naturally. They have large eggs, up to 5 times the size of a chicken egg. Because of its size, the female Maleo can almost faint when releasing the eggs, and they can produce 5 to 10 eggs. Therefore, they can produce 5 to 10 eggs. They can build their hole up to half a meter in size. Interestingly, Maleo is a smart bird. They have a tuft on their head that they can use to measure temperature. The mother will use this to determine if her hole is warm enough to incubate the eggs. In addition, they can also build a fake hole around the hole where their eggs are. This is to fool predators who want to steal their eggs. Unfortunately, there are too many predators that steal their eggs, including humans. In fact, it takes about 80 days for the Maleo eggs to hatch. And even after that, the newborn Maleo has to burrow into the sand in order to see the world for the first time. It is not uncommon for many to die from being buried in the ground. The newly hatched little Maleo will hide in the forest. But the cool thing is, they are soon strong enough to run, forage, and even fly. This is because their large eggs contain a lot of nutrients, so when they hatch, their bodies and feathers are already strong enough. Moreover, since childhood, they have to survive alone. But the most interesting thing about this bird is its togetherness. During mating season, male and female Maleo will fly in pairs. They will dig holes for their eggs together. When the female lays the eggs, the male will stand guard outside the hole and make sure his female is in a safe condition. After the female lays her eggs, they will take turns closing the hole. And they will do this with the same partner throughout their life until one of them dies. There are so many interesting animals in Sulawesi, all with their own features. But Tarsius, Babirusa, Anoa, and Maleo have one thing in common: because they are endangered. These animals are often hunted and captured, while the places where they live are increasingly degraded. The forest is an interesting place, a world where its inhabitants need each other, in their own way, a way we don't fully understand. If it continues to be destroyed and taken, it may one day become extinct, and those who go extinct will never return.